Good morning, Acadiana, and thanks for tuning in to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with The Advocate, the Acadiana Advocate, our local source of journalism here in the Lafayette area. We're glad to be able to provide you with this community service, reading the printed news word as it comes from The Advocate. We bring it to you every Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. And we can do that on most days because of the generous volunteer efforts of our news readers. This morning, our news readers are busy taking care of their normal lives. They are volunteer newsreaders, so I will be your newsreader. My name is Matt Roberts. I work at AOC Community Media, and we are glad to bring you this public service this morning. So let's get right into it. Here are your headlines and your accompanying stories. Bar restrictions eased in Lafayette by Claire Taylor, staff writer. Bars in Lafayette Parish may immediately resume allowing on-site drinking, Mayor President Josh Guillory announced in a news release Wednesday afternoon. Because of COVID-19 restrictions, bar patrons haven't been allowed to drink at their favorite watering holes in Lafayette for several months. Lafayette Parish has met the Louisiana Department of Health's benchmark for easing those restrictions by having 5% or fewer positive cases of COVID-19 for 2 consecutive weeks. LDH announces each Wednesday which parishes have met the benchmark. Guillory said he notified the governor's office that the parish would opt in to reopening bars and move into Phase 3 recovery. The move was approved by the governor Wednesday afternoon, according to Jamie Angel, Chief Communications Officer. Acadia and St. Landry parishes previously met the Phase 3 criteria to reopen bars. Phase 3 does not mean bars can throw open their doors and allow crowds to dance the night away. Live music still is not allowed. Service indoors is allowed only at tables, and indoor capacity is limited to 25% or 50 people, whichever is less. Outdoors areas are limited to 50 people and only table service. Bars and other permit holders, such as daiquiri shops, must close and stop selling alcohol at 11 p.m. After initially closing bars down in March, Edwards eased restrictions in June as the number of COVID-19 cases dropped, allowing bars with food permits to open with restrictions. But the number of cases almost immediately increased, causing Edwards to impose additional restrictions in July. All right, our next story is, are you ready for some socially distanced football? UL's first 2020 home game will look a little different. My cat is at the door meowing at me to be let in. Let me open that door. Maybe he'll be quieter. All right, so back to the news. Are you ready for some socially distanced football? UL's first 2020 home game will look a little different. By Kevin Foote, staff writer. The first home game for number 19 ranked University of Louisiana at Lafayette Ragin' Cajuns football team is an 11 a.m. ESPN2 contest Saturday at Cajun Field against Georgia Southern. It's 2020, so all fans should expect it to be unlike any Cajun Field home game they've attended before this fall. The UL Athletic Department announced the game day restrictions for Cajun Field on September 16th. Since then, there have been several misunderstandings about those guidelines. For example, the standard of 25% capacity is not what it seems on the surface. The official capacity of Cajun Field is 41,426. However, assuming that 10,356 fans could then be allowed into the stadium is not accurate. In effect, seating and social distance seating aren't the same concepts. That capacity may be at 25% for bars, restaurants, and other entertainment elements, says Nico Yantko, UL's Deputy Director of Athletics for External Operations. However, that capacity doesn't translate to a manifest stadium seating. What dictates our capacity is the social distancing measures that we have to put in place before our manifest, and that is how we get the outcome of seating. While the exact number of fans to be allowed in Saturday's home opener wasn't available Wednesday afternoon, it'll be nearly 5,000 fans, a number that is limited by the 6-foot seating radius around every seating pod. Yanko said it's possible single-game general admission seats could be available for future games, depending on how many unused player pass tickets for visiting teams are used. On Wednesday, the athletic department got permission to use the stadium's hill for additional seating when it initially was told the hill wasn't available. The new socially distanced seating on the hill will be for general admission season ticket holders. Seats were given to season ticket holders based on their donor and investor ranking within the Cajuns Athletic Foundation structure. No tailgating will be allowed in the Cajun Field parking lot Saturday. The parking lot will be opened 2 hours before the game time, so will the gates at Cajun Field to encourage all fans to enter the stadium upon arrival. Any fans walking to the game will be allowed in the parking lot but are encouraged to enter the gates. Fans with tickets will be allowed to stay outside their vehicles before the start of the game, but no large gatherings will be allowed. Fans with tickets won't be asked to leave if in the parking lot during pregame, but there won't be anything for them to do and they won't be allowed to gather. The game day trolleys will be operational Saturday and can be boarded at Rock and Bowl downtown, Legends on Bertrand, and at the Corner Bar on Johnson Street. Also, no alcohol will be sold at the game and no alcohol will be allowed into Cajun Field. All food sold at the concession stands will be prepackaged. It's unusual circumstances, Yanko said. This calls for us to be very creative and innovative in how we create a wonderful game day experience for fans. Keep in mind, we're excited that we're still going to get a chance to play football. We're a top 20 team at number 19 in the country, and the fact that we get to have fans at games is a tremendous opportunity for us. Remember, these things are temporary, he said. General admission parking spots will be available for $15 on the gravel area inside the fence at Cajun Field, while reserved parking will be on concrete. The traditional Cajun walk before the game will be virtual on Ragin' Cajun Athletic Department's Facebook page. In our next story, Pellerin's family sees body cam footage by Claire Taylor, a staff writer. Some family members of Trayford Pellerin, the Lafayette man shot and killed by Lafayette police officers on August 21st, have viewed police body camera video of the shooting. Jamie Angel, Chief Communications Officer with Lafayette Consolidated Government, confirmed Wednesday that Pellerin family viewed the video Friday. Out of respect to the family and to the ongoing investigation and legal process, he added, there will be no further comments at this time. Charles Chase Trishel, a Baton Rouge attorney representing the Pellerin family, said Wednesday the only way the family will see all the evidence in the case is through the power of subpoena, which happens in litigation. Trishel declined to comment further, noting a news release may be in the works. 2 other attorneys for the Pellerin family did not return calls Wednesday. Pellerin, 31, was shot by police 10 times on August 21st outside a gas station and convenience store. Police responded to a call at another convenience store and gas station of a man wielding a knife and threatening people, police said. The officers followed Pellerin nearly half a mile on foot to the second store where they shot and killed him, alleging he was going to enter the store with the knife. The shooting death has sparked protests and marches. After Lafayette Mayor-President Josh Guillory met with Pellerin's family and promised it could see the body camera video with the officers, images blurred to prevent identification, attorneys for the 3 officers allegedly involved in the shooting, whose names have not been released, obtained a temporary restraining order to stop the viewing. During a court hearing September 15th on the restraining order, Allison Prejean, an attorney for one of the officers, said they agreed to dismiss their objection. The Louisiana State Police is investigating the fatal shooting. And our next story, her art was just dealing with people. Louisiana Division of the Arts Director Cheryl Castile dies, by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Louisiana artists and musicians are mourning the loss of one of their greatest advocates, Cheryl Castile, who died unexpectedly Sunday at the age of 61. Castile, director of the Louisiana Division of the Arts under Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser's office, had been undergoing chemotherapy for ovarian cancer but was well enough to continue working, according to her supervisor. "We knew that she was sick," said Kristen Sanders, the Assistant Secretary of Louisiana Office of Cultural Development, "but we all knew, Cheryl included, that there was a treatment plan. She was working up until Friday evening, and she sounded good. That's why the news came as such a shock to those who knew and loved her." Herman Fuselier, director of the St. Landry Parish Tourist Commission, got the news in the form of a text message while watching football Sunday afternoon. "I was just staring at my phone like, 'Are you sure?' Fuselier said. 'It was just like somebody kicked me in the stomach, and I just wasn't right the rest of the day. The shock of it is hitting people hard,' he said." Castile worked with Fuselier at the Parish Tourism Office for a short time, and she would later encourage him to apply for the office's top position. Sam Oliver, executive director of the Acadiana Center of the Arts, tells a similar story about her influence on his career. He met Castile in the mid-2000s while he was in high school, and she was working as the program director of Cité des Arts. "I always wanted to grow up to be Cheryl, but then again, I think everybody did," Oliver said. "A lot of my career is really charting that course. She very much inspired me personally and professionally, not just to be interested in things like the arts and all of that, but to be interested in doing it here in Louisiana and really digging deep in the community here to work with artists who need support." Castile, who lived in the St. Landry Parish community of Prairie Laurent, was a Wisconsin native who fell in love with Cajun musician Blake Castile and Louisiana's vibrant culture and arts community. Although she spent much of her career working in the arts, Cheryl Castile wasn't an artist by trade, but a recreational therapist. "I would say that her art was just dealing with people," Fuselier said. "She was just so good at it. We've lost such a key person." Those who worked closest with Castile remembered her brainstorming sessions as idea tornadoes and her guidance as an anchor. "I feel like her accomplishments aren't even about her," Oliver said. "I think it's very telling that the greatest things Cheryl has done all live in other people's accomplishments and successes. So much of what she has done has been planting seeds in other people, seeds of imagination and drive. And I don't think there's a greater accomplishment you could have." Sanders may have been Castile's supervisor on paper, but Sanders said her subordinate taught and guided her just as much. "She's a connector," Sanders said. "She connected people and ideas with each other. She's been such a source of strength for the staff. She's kind of everybody's compass." Sanders is working with Oliver and others in the art community to plan a public celebration of life for Castile in the coming weeks. They're also hoping to start a scholarship fund in her name and collaborative art project in her memory. "A lot of people do their job," Sanders said. "Cheryl lived it and loved it and made you feel that love for it. And even if some of it was behind the scenes, she's done so much for our artists and musicians and art organizations and championed and fought for them and made that her life's work. She will definitely be missed," she said. All right, so let's read a couple of PSAs now that we're about at the 15-minute mark. Request for mosquito control now available through Lafayette 311. Lafayette Consolidated Government is increasing mosquito abatement efforts in the parish following Hurricane Laura. An increase in mosquito activity is common occurrence following a storm event. Citizens noticing an influx in mosquitoes in their area can now use the Lafayette 311 portal to request service. All submitted requests are routed directly to Mosquito Control Services, the mosquito control contractor for the parish. Again, that's Lafayette 311 if you need some additional mosquito abatement services after that storm, if it increased the mosquitoes for you. The downtown, all right, we read this yesterday, but we did not confirm it, so let's go ahead and check. Let's see which ones are good. Okay. So the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra takes the virtual stage. In Lafayette, Louisiana, the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra, ASO, announces that they are shifting the fall portion of ASO 36 revival season, September to December, to a virtual live stream platform. ASO believes that this is the unquestionable solution to keeping our community safe while still providing opportunities for local musicians to share their passion and earn income despite mandated restrictions and uncertain venue viability. Acadiana Symphony Orchestra has and will always remain committed to providing outstanding performances to Acadiana and fueling the cultural economy of our region. Symphonies, businesses, and organizations across the country are having to rethink, retool, and reinvent. Acadiana Symphony Orchestra is no different. They thank their patrons for their grace and their patience as they map out the next few months. They're working tirelessly behind the scenes to solidify plans for their virtual concerts, and it's their commitment to you, the patrons, and the citizens of Lafayette that they will clearly and concisely communicate ASO 36 revival season details in the coming weeks. At a minimum, they're certain that you will receive the highest quality live streaming performance, which you can enjoy from virtually anywhere. So the lineup is Triumph, set for Friday, October 23rd, 2020. It'll be a virtual performance. Transform, Friday, November 13th, 2020. That'll be a virtual performance. December 17th, that's a Thursday, they will have Believe. Adore will be Friday, February 12th, 2021. Their plan is to have that at the ACA. Again, stay tuned to their website. Empower, Friday, April 16th, 2021 at St. John's Cathedral. And Revive, Thursday, May 13th, 2021 at St. Mary's Church. And again, you can stay tuned to Acadiana Symphony Orchestra. If you just Google them, I'm sure you will find their website easily. AOC continues to be teamed up with the United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. The United Way of Acadiana is teamed up with AOC and other local educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United programs air weekdays from 8 to 2. That's 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on AOC 2. You can find that on the Cox cable system at channel 16, and on the LUS cable system, if you have LUS Fiber, you can catch it on channel 4. And streaming, of course, at aocinc.org/watch. That's aocinc.org/WATCH. For the daily schedules and to submit content for the program, you can visit the United Way of Acadiana website at unitedwayofacadiana, all one word, .org, unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. All right, so that's it for PSAs. We'll rejoin you with the news in just a moment. You're tuned in to Local News Live. If you're just joining us, every Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., we bring you the news from our partners at the Acadiana Advocate. And we thank them for their service. And I'd also like to, just mid-show, give a shout out to all of our team at AOC who works on this. My name is Matt Roberts. I'm reading you the news this morning. We, of course, have our volunteer readers like Bruce Cohen and Alicia Silv who join us a lot of the mornings to help us read the news. And then behind the scenes, we have Elliot Adams, helps us by collecting news stories from the Advocate and putting it into a readable format for our broadcasters. We have Mandy Io, who does most of the volunteer coordination and gets us volunteers, communicates with them to schedule news reads and lets us know when they can and can't make it, and also collects the news a lot. And you've also heard her voice reading the news. And then, of course, William McFarland, Our programming coordinator over at AOC Community Media is always involved every morning in capturing that stream to bring it out to our TV stations on Cox and LUS. And also, of course, making sure that it's streaming live over at aocinc.org. You can also catch it if you're looking for an audio-only version on our internet radio station, Cypress Street Radio, which if you've ever wanted your own radio show, hit us up. You can actually apply to become a producer, which is a really easy process, over on the website at aocinc.org/CS radio, or just search for Cypress Street Radio. All right, so with all those plugs and thank yous out of the way for right now. Oh, one more thank you, sorry. The music you were hearing before is Common Ground by Airtone, and that is a attribution non-commercial 3.0 license, which is what gives us the right to use it, and we have to, as a part of that agreement, we thank Airtone, the artist, for making it, so thanks for that song. And now, back to today's news from the Acadiana Advocate. Our next headline, Louisiana website down on registration day was unfortunate error, in quotes, by Mark Ballard, Capitol Bureau editor. Pillared with angry criticism and accusations of nefarious intent, Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin had a more human reason for the state's online voter registration website being down on the evening of National Voter Registration Day. That nobody noticed routine maintenance had long ago been scheduled for Tuesday night was an oversight. Ardoin on Wednesday morning called it an unfortunate error for which I take full responsibility. Ardoin also pointed out that the registration is ongoing. About 90% of eligible Louisiana residents have signed up to participate, and anyone who wants to register or change their registration has until October 5th if done by mail, or October 13th if done online, to do so in order to participate in the November 3rd presidential election. Website was down from 8 p.m. to about 11:30 p.m. according to the Secretary of State's office. This is beyond reprehensible, tweeted New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell on Tuesday night. Absolute dereliction of duty, as such a critical time for our city and our nation. The Louisiana SOS, or Secretary of State, owes more to the people he services, said Mayor Cantrell. She forwarded a tweet by Democratic New Orleans Representative Royce Duplessis saying about the website being down for maintenance on National Voter Registration Day, "This is an absolute disgrace," that's in all caps, "truly shameful and pathetic." 2 exclamation points. Duplessis was reserved, at least compared to others commenting on the mayor's tweet. One side attacked Ardoin along the lines of a Bayou Dog, who opined, "It's calculated to discourage demo voters." The other side went after Cantrell, like the Greater New Orleans Republican PAC, who tweeted, "LaToya is an expert on dereliction." Shreveport Mayor Adrian Perkins, who is running as a Democrat for the U.S. Senate, tweeted, "This isn't scheduled maintenance, it is scheduled voter suppression on #National Voter Registration Day." As Democrats across the state are engaging voters for the coming election, Republican Secretary of State Kyle Ardoin has a pattern of attempting to suppress the vote. His plan to limit secure expanded absentee voting was denied by a judge just days ago. Katie Bernhardt, chair of Louisiana Democratic Party, said in a statement, "On a day when his office should encourage voter registration and participation in our democracy, he blocked it. This was gross incompetence at best and blatant voter suppression at worst. Either way, this failure is an embarrassment." Ardoin, a Republican, has been at the center of a legal challenge that pitted Republicans who wanted to limit the use of absentee mail ballots because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and Democrats who argued that the use of mail-in ballots would allow the participation of voters worried about catching the coronavirus and turning November 3rd into a super spreader event. Chief U.S. District Judge Shelley Dick of Baton Rouge ruled last week that Louisiana should adopt Ardoin's more expansive plan from the summer elections for the November-December elections. Under the judge's ruling, voters can seek an absentee ballot if they are at higher risk of severe illness from COVID-19 because of underlying medical conditions, are subject to a quarantine order, are experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 and seeking medical confirmation, or are caring for someone isolated because of the virus. National Registration Day, which began in 2012, was put together to allow election boards and community organizations to make a big push to get people registered to vote. Celebrities such as actor Will Smith pumped the idea of voter registration on social media. LSU released a video. The NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund Incorporated held a virtual rally. Merchandise was sold, including hoodies and face masks, for sale. Unlike most events recently, the registration day is supported by both Democrats and Republicans. Republican National Committee Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel announced in a release, with close races shaping up around the country and early voting already underway in some states, we at the Republican National Committee are ramping up our efforts to make every voter count by ensuring every American has the information and resources they need to vote. National Voter Registration Day, held the fourth Tuesday in September, registered 800,000 voters in 2018. Just last week, we sent registration information to over 100,000 identified eligible but unregistered citizens, Ardoin said. In addition to selecting the president, Louisiana voters also will be choosing a U.S. senator, all 6 congressmen, 2 public service commissioners, 2 Louisiana Supreme Court justices, a handful of state appellate court judges, all district judges and prosecutors, plus many local offices and several constitutional amendments. This is a big ballot, and you can check it out. It's just a public service announcement. If you go to ballotpedia.org, they can actually lay out your ballot for you and even give you additional context for both pros and cons for all the constitutional amendments at least, and any reporting they have collected on any of the candidates. So ballotpedia.org if you're looking for information on the ballot. Screenings, masks, more, part of LSU's game day plan by Wilson Alexander, staff writer. Fans 18 and older attending LSU football games this fall must complete a coronavirus screening before they can enter Tiger Stadium. The evaluations done through the LSU Sports mobile app require answers to 4 questions from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's own facility screening. Access to the questionnaire will open at 12 a.m. on game days. LSU encourages fans to answer the prompts before they leave their houses. Once complete, the screening page will either turn green, approved, or red, denied, and those with approval can enter Tiger Stadium for LSU's season opener at 2:30 p.m. Saturday against Mississippi State. The COVID-19 screening announced Tuesday by LSU is one of many changes to game day protocols this year. Football games will operate much differently because of the coronavirus pandemic, with 25% stadium capacity, no tailgating, and less pregame fanfare, such as elimination for the Tiger Walk down Victory Hill. Signs plastered around Tiger Stadium this year remind fans to wash your hands and cover your coughs. Stickers near concession stands separate people by 6 feet. Video boards rotate graphics, including one that reads "Masks Required." LSU will have staff dedicated to monitoring masks and social distancing. In order to decrease wait times, LSU is encouraging fans to use the athletic department's app for access to tickets, the CDC's coronavirus screening page, and game day alerts. The school asks fans to download mobile tickets and digital parking passes before the game. This year, fans must wear masks over their nose and mouth at all times on campus and within Tiger Stadium. They can remove their face covering to eat or drink as long as they maintain 6 feet of social distancing. Clear shields can only be worn in combination with a face mask. All parking lots, including free ones, require a permit. LSU will close unused lots on game day in order to limit the number of people on campus. Those with tickets will park in lots close to Tiger Stadium. Lots open for 4 hours before kickoff. LSU will not use shuttles. LSU has prohibited tailgates on campus, but fans can congregate in small groups near their vehicles. LSU will also close buildings and bathrooms on campus and limit the number of portable restrooms. To allow for social distancing, LSU extended fencing around Tiger Stadium. The temporary fences cover most of the Pete Maravich Assembly Center and portions of North Stadium Drive. They include 12 additional gates, and fans can enter the larger stadium footprint through any gate this season. Only ticketed fans can enter the fence. Tents with printed versions of the CDC questionnaire will be located around Tiger Stadium for those without a smartphone. Once arriving at the gates, ticketed fans must display their approved CDC screening to an attendant. Security members then check bags, which must be clear before fans enter the stadium. People can bring a factory-sealed 32-ounce water bottle with them to the game. For fans who need to use elevators, they really need to get here pretty early. Senior Associate Athletic Director Robert Munson said, "We're going to be limited elevator access to one family group at a time, so that's going to lead some lines to get into the elevators. Concession stands will require cashless transactions. If a fan only has cash, they can use one of the cash-to-card machines located within the stadium before purchasing food and beverages." LSU won't sell alcohol for at least the first game, but that decision may change later in the season. Concession stands this year offer a smaller menu with prepackaged items and condiments to minimize contact. In premium areas, fans cannot move between suites, and grab-and-go items have substituted menus. LSU removed all common area furniture and won't show the game on televisions inside the suites. Staff will serve fans at buffets in the club areas. With single game tickets available for purchase, the crowd will include season ticket holders, students who completed a coronavirus test, and ticket allocations for coaches and players. Visiting teams receive 500 tickets. LSU put stickers on unavailable seats in order to maintain social distancing. Fans will sit alone or in small groups, stretching the crowd from field level to the final row of the upper deck. Groups will sit 6 feet apart, vertically and horizontally from others. Stadium capacity could change throughout the season, depending on public health trends. All right, so I think we going to do in honor of Bruce's Way. Let's go do some horoscope here in the middle, and maybe today in history. Let's see. Okay. So, today in history, this is an Associated Press piece. Today is Thursday, September 24th. It's the 268th day of the 2020 year. There are 98 days left in the year. Today's highlight in history: on September 24th, 1789, President George Washington signed a Judiciary Act establishing America's federal court system and creating the post of Attorney General. On this date in 1869, thousands of businessmen were ruined in a Wall Street panic known as Black Friday, after financiers Jay Gould and James Fisk attempted to corner the gold market. In 1964, the situation comedy The Munsters premiered on CBS television. The Adventures series Daniel Boone, starring Fess Parker, debuted on NBC. In 1969, the trial of the Chicago 8, later 7, began. 5 were later convicted of crossing state lines to incite riots in the 1968 Democratic Convention, but the convictions were ultimately overturned. In 1976, former hostage Patricia Hearst was sentenced to 7 years in prison for her part in the 1974 bank robbery in San Francisco, carried out by the Symbionese Liberation Army. Hearst was released after 22 months of receiving clemency from President Jimmy Carter. In 1996, the United States and 70 other countries became the first to sign a treaty at the United Nations to end all testing and development of nuclear weapons. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty has yet to enter into force because of the refusal so far of 8 nations, including the United States, to ratify it. In 2007, United Auto Workers walked off the job at General Motors plants in the first nationwide strike during auto contract negotiations since 1976. A tentative pact ended the walkout 2 days later. In 2018, China and the United States imposed new tariff hikes on each other's goods. U.S. regulators went ahead with a planned 10% tax on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports, and China said it responded with taxes on $60 billion in American goods. 10 years ago, President Barack Obama and Southeast Asian leaders meeting in New York sent China a firm message over territorial disputes between Beijing and its neighbors, calling for freedom of navigation in seas that China claimed as its own. 5 years ago, a stampede and crush of Muslim pilgrims occurred at an intersection near a holy site in Saudi Arabia. The Associated Press estimated that more than 2,400 or 2,400 people were killed, while the official Saudi toll stood at 769. 1 year ago, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi launched a formal impeachment inquiry against President Donald Trump. The probe focused partly on whether Trump abused his presidential powers and sought help from the government of Ukraine to undermine Democratic foe Joe Biden. Today's birthdays: rhythm and blues singer Sonny Turner, The Platters, is 81. Singer Barbara Albert Brown of the Angels is 80. Singer Phyllis Jiggs, Albert Sirico, the Angels, is 78. Singer Jerry Marsden, Jerry and the Pacemakers, is 78. Pro College Football Hall of Famer Joe Green is 74. Actor Gordon Clapp is 72. Actor Harriet Walter is 70. Songwriter Holly Knight is 64. Kevin Sorbo, an actor, is 62. Hercules. Christian jazz singer Cedric Dent is 58. Actor-writer Nia Bardalos is 58. Country musician Marty Mitchell is 51. Actor Megan Ward is 51. Singer-musician Marty Cintron of No Mercy is 49. Contemporary Christian musician Juan DeVivo is of the Casting Crowns is 45. Actor Ian Bowen is 44. Actor Justin Brewing is 41. Olympic gold medal gymnast Paul Hamm is 38. Actor Eric Stocklin is 38. Actor Spencer Treat Clark is 33. Actor Gray Damon is 33. Actor Kyle Sullivan is 32. And actor Ben Platt is 27. Up next, if you're looking for some guidance that you can't really rely on, but if you want to listen to it anyway, here is your zodiac for today, September 24th. For Libras, you need to, according to the zodiac, refuse to let what others do slow you down. Offer suggestions, but don't take on responsibilities that don't belong to you. Choose peace and love over discord. Scorpios, listen to complaints, make adjustments, and do your best to keep the peace. Put a personal vendetta behind you. Hanging on to the past will make you bitter and hold you back. Sagittarius, balance and structure will help you counter indulgent behavior. Concentrate on learning, fitness, and self-improvement. Strive to be and do your best. Love is the stairs. Love is in the stars. Excuse me. The Capricorn, the change will be refreshing and lend itself to creative flow and the ability to overcome any discord you face. Peace and unity will result if you honor promises. Aquarius, refuse to get caught up in someone's plans. Concentrate on what's important to you, and you will overcome the pressure and the demands you face. Personal improvements and romance are favored. Pisces, a change regarding how others perceive you will depend on what you are willing to do and how well you manage situations that require insight and mediation. Aries, a change to the way you do things will help you cut corners. Getting into an argument will work against you. Take pride in what you do and avoid criticism. Taurus, altering how you work will make it easier for you to bring about the changes you want to make. Don't take on something that will cost you physically. Gemini, personal satisfaction will lift your spirits and give you the confidence you need to pursue your personal and professional goals. Romance is in the stars this time instead of love, and neither of them are in the stairs. Cancer, avoid getting into a spat with someone who doesn't share your opinions. Be imaginative and show interest in what others do, but don't leave yourself open for criticism. Practice moderation. Leos, a personal change will encourage you to take on more responsibility. Before you make unrealistic promises, consider the time and cost involved. Romance and home improvements are favored. Virgo, mix things up. Using social media, you will discover groups that share your concerns and interests. Think before you speak. An impulsive response will lead to trouble. And of course, the horoscope is an entertainment feature and is not based on scientific fact. As I scroll to our next story, I wonder if we have any local, I wonder if there's any such thing as a Cajun horoscope or a local Acadiana horoscope. I'd like to read that one instead. All right, so back to our news stories. We're now just getting into the last third of the hour, so we'll get back to news stories. Again, you're listening to Local News Live right here on AOC Community Media and all of our platforms. Our next story, COVID-19 coronavirus, the latest learning from Louisiana. White House coronavirus leader touts state's progress, urges continued precautions. By Yusuf Radad, staff writer. Louisiana's efforts to fight the coronavirus, particularly mask wearing and social distancing, are saving lives, a top White House health official said during a visit to LSU on Wednesday. Birx, Dr. Deborah Birx, a renowned infectious disease doctor who reports to Vice President Mike Pence on the White House Coronavirus Task Force, met with LSU leaders and Governor John Bel Edwards for a series of morning roundtables to discuss how the school and state are managing the virus, as well as to gather information on what steps the nation's colleges are taking. Birx said there is evidence Edwards ordered requiring masks in public places has driven down new cases since it went into effect in July. Louisiana made changes that save people's lives, she said. We've learned from Louisiana that masks work. Health officials found significant drops in coronavirus cases collected from wastewater, a method used to identify hotspots, Birx said. Louisiana has had one of the highest per capita rates of infection in the country since the pandemic intensified in March and rocked rural and urban areas alike in the early spring and then in the summer months. Though new cases have gradually declined after a second spike in infections this summer, the latest Louisiana Department of Health figures still show many parishes have high rates of infections. Some parishes on Wednesday, including Iberville Parish, recorded low enough positivity rates in testing that bars would be allowed to reopen months after Edwards ordered them to close when cases tied to bars steeply rose this summer. With flu season starting and schools and colleges resuming in-person classes, Birx cautioned against loosening restrictions. Louisiana is getting there, but we'll have to continue. How fast we get there is completely up to us, she said. I know people are getting tired of this, but we need to get through this fall. State lawmakers are also set to return to Baton Rouge later this month for a special session to take up relief efforts following Hurricane Laura. Unemployment and the governor's emergency orders, which has drawn sharp criticism for some lawmakers who've called for earlier reopening of businesses and resuming other activities. Edwards said Wednesday his mandates have been effective in blunting the virus's spread in the state, while touching on comments Birx made about the effectiveness of his social distancing mandates. It isn't like you can have an economy fully open with the virus running rampant, he said. That just isn't going to work. Wednesday's meeting came weeks after after students returned to LSU and other colleges ahead of the start of the SEC football season this weekend. Attendance will be capped at 25% inside Tiger Stadium, and no tailgating is allowed outside. Do not come on this campus not wearing your mask. Do not be at bars, and don't create your own bar situation in your hotel room, she said. This is really important for all of us to take these precautions going into Saturday. Universities across the country have struggled to contain the virus, which mainly spreads person to person through respiratory droplets during in-person fall semesters. The latest report from LSU shows some 829 staff, students, and faculty reported testing positive for the virus since mid-August. Weekly reported cases have been declining since its highest week in late August, when 182 cases were reported. But the timing of when a person tested positive and whether they were on campus isn't reflected in the data. LSU interim president Tom Galligan said Wednesday the school plans to enforce distancing measures persuasively and gently, but if we have to go beyond persuasive and gentle, we'll do so. He added that he'd like to see more testing done on campus and may consider mandatory testing. The biggest takeaway, I think, was something we already knew. We need our community to get tested, Galligan said. We need to have more robust testing. We need more numbers, he said. In our next story, an Erath native is fired over diocese dispute. Erath native fired over diocese dispute lands new Austin job, by Ken Stickney, staff writer. A former Erath basketball player dismissed from her high school coaching job in Austin, Texas last month after she was embroiled in a dispute with the Catholic Diocese of Lafayette said she has landed another coaching job in Texas. Ashley Longlinay, 33, confirmed she was hired as an athletic coordinator at a charter school and will coach the girls' basketball team there. She declined to name the school, although she said administrators were aware of the circumstances of her dismissal as a girls' basketball coach at Dom Savio Catholic High during the summer. Longlinay played basketball at Turlings High in Lafayette and Erath High before enrolling at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, from which she graduated. A decade ago, she moved to Austin and has been active in coaching ever since. During the summer, she took issue with the pastor of her former church, Our Lady of Lourdes, in her hometown of Erath, when he criticized in the Parish Bulletin a demonstration of gay pride by the New Orleans Saints in late June. She petitioned the diocese for the pastor's removal. That effort was joined by Faithful America, an online interdenominational Christian group, and delivered petitions to the office of the Diocese of Lafayette. Longlinay says she is a gay woman, married to a woman, and no longer attends church, although some family members attend Our Lady of Lourdes. She said Wednesday that the Lafayette Diocese never responded to her petition. She was dismissed from her job by the principal at Dom Savio, who cited her actions in Lafayette. Now Longlinay is petitioning the Diocese of Austin, seeking protection for diocesan school employees in their jobs. She said her principal at Dom Savio fired her by email, citing her efforts in the Lafayette Diocese. She was to deliver her petitions to the Diocese of Austin midday Wednesday, she said. And in our next story, Scott Project already helping drainage. Provost Pond, part of West Village development, by Julia Gilbo. Scott, Louisiana, a large pond built in conjunction with the West Village project is to thank for less flooding in Scott, especially after Hurricane Laura, city officials said during a Tuesday night meeting. Provost Pond, a regional pond created through a public-private partnership for the subdivisions to the east and northeast of West Village, was built as part of the city's plans to increase drainage in the area as well as to provide relief for the 143-acre residential development under construction along Apollo Road. The ponds within West Village are not yet complete. Once the ponds are finished, the three can store about 30 million gallons of water from, in, and around the development, said Trad Trahan, civil engineer for the project. It's not just going to be a benefit for the development itself, but I think really in some areas that have been struggling with drainage, too, he said. I think it's going to benefit the city as a whole. The Provost Pond is about 80% complete and does not yet have out poles installed for the water to flow out, Trahan said. Channels were cut ahead of Hurricane Laura with approval from the city and mayor to allow water to flow. Mayor Jan Scott Richard said that even with the pond not yet complete, it still held up against almost 10 inches of rain received from the hurricane. Several residents living on Cresswell Avenue, however, told city officials water filled their backyards and approached their front doors during the hurricane. Other residents reported mud building up on the street, which they claimed was due to West Village construction. The mud, Richard said, is not caused by the West Village construction since a city ordinance prohibits additional soil for developments. Other residents said they experienced relief from flooding because of the creation of the pond, including one who claimed he saw the water flow out quickly toward the pond. Cottage developers announced early in the project plans to install 3 retention ponds to alleviate flooding issues in the area. City officials and nearby residents were concerned about drainage and water buildup in the low-lying areas nearby. West Village is about 95% complete, according to Jordan Daigle, co-founder of Cottage Developers. With only electric and gas installation remaining, the company broke ground on the project in May 2019. And is expected to be completed within 5 years, and feature 400 homes and multifamily apartments with walking access to nearby businesses. All right, and our next story. A Eunice man, 21, killed in collision with 18-wheeler. A Eunice man died Tuesday after colliding head-on with an 18-wheeler in Evangeline Parish. The crash happened around 5 p.m. when 21-year-old Deontay Walker crossed the center line of Louisiana 13 near Heritage Road and struck a southbound 2014 Freightliner 18-wheeler in a 2009 Hyundai Sonata. Walker died at an area hospital, and his front seat passenger was treated for moderate injuries. Louisiana State Police Troop spokesperson Trooper Thomas Gosson said in a statement, Walker and the passenger were not wearing seatbelts. The driver of the 18-wheeler was restrained and uninjured in the crash. The 18-wheeler driver showed no signs of impairment and submitted a breath sample that indicated no alcohol in his system, Gosson said. A toxicology sample was taken from Walker. Louisville man dies from crash injuries. A Louisville man died Wednesday after suffering critical injuries in a September 14th crash in Iberia Parish. Bryson Provost, 24, died early Wednesday from injuries sustained when his 2019 Dodge Challenger ran off the road, struck an embankment, and overturned while traveling west on Louisiana 3242 near Wale Road in Iberia Parish. A statement from Louisiana State Police Troop spokesperson Trooper Thomas Gosson said, the crash happened around 11:30 p.m. September 14th. Provost and a juvenile front seat passenger were not wearing seatbelts and were transported to an area hospital in critical condition, the statement said. An update on the juvenile's condition was not provided. Impairment is unknown, but standard toxicology sample was taken from Provost. Speed is believed to be a major factor in the crash, Gosson said. See if I can find a shortish story to read to you. I think that's about it for the short stories, y'all. So what we're going to do is we're going to call it a day for the news read today. Thanks so much for joining us on Local News Live. If you're watching on AOC 1 on the cable system, you can, of course, always watch it on YouTube as well. You can listen on Cypress Street Radio. You can check out AOC Community Media's Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter account. And that is another way that you can keep up with us. If you did watch on YouTube, or even if you didn't, if you want to go give us a like or subscribe to our channel, you can catch all the content that we publish. We publish a lot of content, and it is all hyper local content, all based on Lafayette, Louisiana. Also, if you are a Lafayette, Louisiana producer of content and you want to, maybe you're already producing for YouTube or for Instagram or for Facebook or for Twitter, but maybe you want another avenue for that content to get out, AOC Community Media, our TV channels are here for you, for the Lafayette citizens. And all you have to do is go to AOCINC.org/submit, and there you can actually upload your content directly to us. There's a short form you have to fill out that lets us know, who you are, who the producer is, and we are actually your free speech platform. So if you're looking for, a place to distribute your content and you're a citizen of Lafayette, that is our whole reason for existing. Unlike some of these other social media platforms, we are really here to be your social media platform, your local, hyper-local social media platform. Again, we're AOC Community Media. My name's Matt Roberts. You've been listening to Local News Live. Thanks so much to everybody for tuning in, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.